Good evening, good evening. This is Ray Hayes with Global Diversity News. Added a little different song today. Usually we have the, little jazz instrumental, but today I want to add something different. Been listening to Jadena's "Don't Let the Chief Run." Definitely recommend it if you haven't heard it. But that's the instrumental you just heard. But today, as usual, this is the mini podcast, so we're not going to be long, but however, we're not going to be too short. But the topic today I wanted to talk about is the fact that diversity is toxic. Now, please, you all leave your comments and feedback about the podcast on our social media sites or our website, which I'll give at the end of the podcast. But is diversity toxic? Is it like the fact that I know we talked about it before, but the definition of diversity and rather is it needed? The idea came up in regards to the question: is diversity toxic? It came up from I was reading a blog post recently, and it talked about the fact that diversity singles out a particular race of people, meaning that they single out in particular, exclude white males in particular. The fact that they're chasing out white males out of the workforce and just trying to go about adding minorities to the workforce, which is not the case at all. Let me explain this. First things first, when you talk about a field of work, usually that field of work, the dominant employees that are working there, even the top execs, are white males. Out of the majority of the cases in the tech field, business, anything, usually the top execs and employers are white males. So when we talk about when you hear people saying that, oh, if you're talking about adding diversity or to a company, you're trying to kick out all white males. It's not the case at all. Only thing the fact that we're doing, or people are doing, or trying to do, is go about diversifying the workforce and going about adding different talent, different cultures, different perspectives, different mindsets. Because, like I said, usually the workforce, or when you come as particular to the tech field, it's white males. The white males are dominant. So let's go about adding a different mindset to the workforce to go about expanding the company, or just expanding the idea of what the mission of the company wants to achieve. In 20 years from now, America won't look the same. It will not. The census have stated that with the recent boom of the Hispanic population, the faces of America will be totally different. So if you don't change with the times, you'll be left behind. With that being said, that is one of the reasons why diversity is not toxic. It can't be. Like I said before, if you don't change with the times, you'll be left behind. The workforce is changing. The American, in particular, population is changing. We're becoming more diverse as a society. So to go about calling that toxic is somewhat naive. Some fact being, because you're not trying to kick out anybody or make one race in particular dominant. Only thing you're doing is going about diversification, which solely means to add different things to the table. Solely it. You're not trying to contaminate anything. So, that being the case, it's not toxic at all. It's actually good, and it's actually needed, as we continually talk about. But please, what do you feel? Is it toxic in your eyes? I know I'm not the only one may think that it's not, but I want to hear people who think that it is toxic, and you're tired of hearing about it. Another thing I did over the weekend, I was just trying to go about finding some information. Where did this kick for diversity come from? Why did it start? I know for years we've been trying to get, in particular, minorities in different fields of work, in regards to expanding the workforce, adding them to the workforce. But why recently has this big idea of diversity been everywhere? I mean, you hear about recently Apple with their hiring process. I mean, there are tons of news articles that are talking about diversity, but why? Yeah, I couldn't really find much, but it's just intriguing. Why did it? Why hasn't it become so popular? Is it because people, in particular, top execs in companies, have grown to understand that diversity is profitable? Maybe that's it, but I don't know, and I'm interested in finding out. So if you have any information about it, please feel free. Drop it in the comment section. Please let us know of anything. This is going to be coming to an end for our podcast. This is a mini podcast. Me and Jamie will probably go about doing a more lengthy podcast over the weekend, go over different topics and so forth. But please follow us on Twitter at GDN Network. Also, please go to our website, www.Global Diversity News. Please like our Facebook page, Global Diversity News, as well. Thank you for giving me your time. I hope you all have a good evening. I'm going to end the podcast again with a Jenna song, Chief Don't Let Me Run. Actually really feeling the song.